So this is the graphs, okay? On average, the body will burn 60 calories for every kilometer walked. So therefore, you just count up in 60s: 120, 180, 240, 300, 360. So use the graph putting kilometers on the x-axis and calories on the y-axis. So you gotta draw it. How high do you have to go, guys? How high do you have to go? You have to go from 0 up to 360. Okay, so actually, in fairness, I might want to make this a bit smaller so I can see everything. Okay, how many blocks do you think I'm gonna need? Anybody? How many blocks will I need to go from 0 to 360? You went up in 60s. How many blocks is worth 60? 6 blocks are worth 60, so I need 36 blocks is what you're telling me. Okay, how many blocks do I have? 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24, what's that, 28, 32. I'm a bit short of 36 blocks, so I will do it in, I'll do it in 4s. Every 4 is worth 60, okay? So 60, what's that, 120, 180, 240, 300, 360. Now guys, what do I need to call this axis? Anybody tell me? Have your test open, yeah? What do I need to call this? Huh? It should be called calories, shouldn't it? It is the y-axis, but I think we should call it calories. And what about the x-axis then? 0 to 6 in kilometers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and call that kilometers. Now, do the first one and the last one. The first point is going to be, first point is 0, 0. What's the last point? 6 kilometers is worth 360. So about there, right? And just join the two lines together. And there we go. Now, first question. Use a graph to estimate how far a person will need to walk in order to burn 210 calories. 210 calories would be located where? Now you got to remember, what's the gap between 240 and 180? What's the gap? What am I counting up in, guys? I'm counting up in 60s. But you mentioned 4, did you? 60 equals 4 boxes. So what does 1 box equal? Divide both sides by 4. 15. One of my boxes is worth 15, okay? So that means that's 195, and the next one is 210. 210 is what I'm looking for. It's halfway in between the two of them. So 210 across and down, and what do we get for that? Anyone tell me? I'm getting about 3.3, 3.4 kilometers. Is that right? So to burn 210 calories, it's going to be, and it says use my graph, it's going to be about 3.4 kilometers. Find an equation which represents the relationship between kilometers walked and the calories burnt. Remember we did this earlier in the week, guys? What am I going to write down? None of you wrote this down though. What am I going to write down? I'm going to write down y equals mx plus c. Does anybody remember what the c value is? Where it hits the y-axis? Where does it hit the y-axis? 0. So c value is 0, which means we don't need to worry about it. Now, what's the m value? M relates to what? The slope, doesn't it? So if we take the very first point, 60 across, 1 across, and 60 up, isn't it? Do you notice that you burn 60 calories for every kilometer you walk? So the slope is 60. So y equals 60x, okay? Can anybody explain to me what does y actually mean? What is the y value in this graph? So the number of calories equals 60 multiplied by number of kilometers you walk. The number of kilometers you walk multiplied by 60 gives you the amount of calories you burn. Does that make sense? Every kilometer you walk, multiply that by 60 and you get how many calories you burn. So if you go back to your graph, you could do that without this. Look at it. 1 kilometer you burn 60. If you do 2 kilometers you burn 120. You just multiply your number of kilometers by 60 to find out how many calories you burn. Very easy. How far would Neve need to walk in order to burn 450 calories? 450 calories, guys. 450. How many calories do you burn per hour again? 60. So 450 divided by 60? 7.5 kilometers. Sorry, not hours, kilometers. That makes sense? Okay. 25 marks going for that. Okay, 25 marks. Moving on. This one here, your temperature starts at 35, but it drops 5 every 2 minutes. So it's going to be 30, 25, 20, 15, 10, and 5. Draw a graph. The change in temperature of the objects over a 12-minute period. Put the time on the horizontal axis and put temperature on the vertical axis. Okay, so I'll have to go from 0 to 35. I think I might have enough blocks to pull this one off if I go from bottom to top. Okay, so 0 to 35, right? So let's count up in 5s. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35. I have exactly the right amount of blocks to make this work. What will I label this axis? Temperature. And what's temperature measured in? Degrees Celsius, okay? Now what about this axis here? How high do I have to go up? Have to go as far as 12 in gaps of 2. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, and 12. You could space that out in trees if you really want, to your call. Now, it's a line, isn't it? How do you know it's a line? How would I know this is automatically a line? Goes in the same spacing over and over again, okay? So we're going to write down the first one, first point and the last point, and that should be enough to get us the line. So 0.35 is located where, guys? 0.35 up here, and then 12.5 locate it down here, and then we draw our line going from here to here. Everybody alright with that? Now, use your graph to find the temperature of the object after 9 minutes. So where is 9 minutes, guys? It's here, isn't it? Up and across. I think we're looking at exactly halfway between 15 and 10, which is, anybody? 12.5. Use your graph to find the drop in temperature for the first 8 minutes. The drop in temperature after 8 minutes. Okay, after 8 minutes, how high were you? 8 minutes is 15. Where did you start? You started at 35, you ended up on 15. So that'd be 35 minus 15 will give me a drop of 20 degrees. So we dropped 20 degrees in that time frame. Does that make sense? Okay. Lucy and her mother took 5 minutes to drive 4 kilometers. This means distance. This refers to how far away from home you are. So you drove 4 kilometers. They stopped for 10 minutes. So when you stop for 10 minutes, how much is each block worth? 2 blocks are worth 10. So how much is 1 block worth? 5. So if we stop for 10 minutes, how many blocks are we going across? 2. Why didn't we go up? If we're stopped, do we cover any more distance? So our distance can't go up or down, so let's go straight across. Okay, they drove for 15 minutes. When you drive for 15 minutes, how many blocks are you going to end up across? Remember, each block is worth 5. So 5, 10, 15. All right. How much distance did we cover? We're 14 kilometers from home, so that means we should go to the 14 mark. And that will put us there. 14 kilometers from home after another 15 minutes of driving. What happens at the park then? 20 minutes at the park. So how many blocks across? Sorry? Yeah, 4 blocks across because it's worth 20 minutes. And then finally 10 minutes to get all the way home. How many blocks across? 2 blocks across and go all the way home. And that was worth 10 marks. Okay. Some of you didn't go too high, some of you didn't do the proper amount of time. Just keep an eye on it. Okay? That's alright, guys. Now, this one here has a small bit in it. So, don't need a graph for it. It's a good question, this one. Some of you aren't showing your workings. Means if you get the question wrong, you're going to lose all your marks and pick up no attempt marks. Okay, how far is their home from Dublin? Dublin starts down here, and they go from Portlaoise to Dublin. So how far is Dublin away? 75 kilometers. Does that make sense? Everyone knows where I got it from? 75 kilometers, right here, to get home. So, 75 kilometers. For how long does Sinead stop? Can anybody tell me how much is each block worth? Half an hour or 30 minutes. So each block, 1 block is worth 0.5 of an hour. So how many blocks did she stop for? 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 blocks. So what's 4 multiplied by 0.5? 4 multiplied by 0.5 is going to get me 2 hours. She stopped for 2 hours. Any questions? Yes? Question 3? Okay, I'll be with you now, right? How far from Dublin is the stop? Oh. Just while we're here, guys, what's going to happen here is this. How far from Dublin? Remember, Dublin is 75 kilometers away from home. And the shop is 35 kilometers away from home. So 75 kilometers minus 35 kilometers is going to be 40 kilometers from home. If you had that right, give yourself 2 extra marks, okay? 40 kilometers from home. Estimate the time when Cottle passes Sinead. Where does Cottle pass Sinead? Right here. That's the point at which Sinead is still in the shops and Cottle goes over 35 kilometers away. Charlie? Yeah, they give you marks? Okay. It's just under 11:30, so anywhere from 11:20 to 11:30 will get you your marks, okay? So I'll call it 11:25 myself. Now finally, at what speed? What's the formula for speed? I didn't see it written down. Ryan, do you know the formula for speed? Speed equals distance over time. Now what is distance over time? We'll go for Cottle. How far did Cottle cycle? And how long did you take to do it? You can do it two ways. What Aaron's suggesting is I might go in a half an hour. Now it's going to be difficult because of the position of it. See the way if I do it for the cyclist, Aaron? It's going to be like I'm going to be estimating the distance. I could do it after 1 hour though, couldn't I? So how far did he cycle after 1 hour? 25 kilometers in 1 hour. So that's 25 divided by 1. 25 kilometers per hour. That's very handy for Cattle's one. Now, how fast did Sinead drive to the stop? How long was Sinead driving for? She drove 35 kilometers in how long? 35 and a half an hour. So, you're saying just double that to get 70 kilometers. She would have done 70 kilometers in 1 hour. That's perfect. Another way doing it would be like this, Aaron. You just say she drove 35 kilometers. The time frame she did that in was in 0.5, and then 35 divided by 0.5 is 70 kilometers per hour. So that's 70 kilometers per hour. Sinead drove from the shop to Dublin. So we go from Sinead driving from Dublin to the shop. So where is Dublin to the shop? Or sorry, shop to Dublin? This green line here. Ever see it? Now, how far did she travel in that half an hour? She started at 35 and she ended up at... How far did she travel? She travelled 40 kilometres in that half an hour. So in a half an hour she travelled 40 kilometres. By Aaron's logic, if you double that, that's 80 kilometres in 1 hour, which is perfect. Other people might just say 40 kilometres divided by half an hour gives me 80 kilometres per hour. Okay. So where were we? Sinead drove from the shop to Dublin, so it was 80 kilometres an hour, right? Now, how apart are Cottle and Sinead at 12 o'clock? So go to 12 o'clock, don't mind anything else. Now, do you see 12 o'clock, yeah? Where's Sinead at 12 o'clock, guys? Sinead is located where? 35 kilometres. She's still in the shops, isn't she? Where's Cottle located at the same time? 50. So what's the gap between the two of them? Oh, sorry, 50 and 35. There's 3 blocks. Each block is worth 5. So that means it's 15 kilometres. Everybody alright with that? Charlie? They're not separated. But next question, guys. Okay, we have to draw a function, and this function represents the depth of water in a harbour, and we got to draw this function here using this domain here. Okay, so what we're gonna do, guys, is this. We're gonna get the calculator. We're gonna put it into table mode. Then what we're gonna do, Ryan? Put in what equation? But instead of t's, what am I going to use? Good man. Okay, where's the start? Yeah. And the end. And you knew that from, it told you to go from 0 to 6 over here. And what's the step? 1. As in, you go up in 1 hour at a time. No, but we usually just draw it in ones. So see the way it goes 0, 1, 2. That's a step of 1. If I did a step of 2, it'd be 0, 2, 4, 6, 8. Oh, it just means this means the time frame is from 0 to 6 hours. It means start at 0 hours and end at 6 hours. That makes sense? Start at 0, end at 6. Now, we're going to draw this graph out. So these are my points. So I have to take them all down. Will somebody call them out to me just because I need to write them all down here in a second. So what are they? 0, 6. Yeah. 1, 3, yeah. 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 618, okay? I have to go from 0 to 18 to make this work. So I need 18 blocks, otherwise I haven't got a graph. So I'm pretty sure I have a good 18 blocks there, easy enough. So we'll have it up, don't want that too thick. So here we go. So 18 blocks, I'm going to count up in threes. 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, okay? And that's 0 on the bottom. Then what about the other axis? How far do we need to go to? This is height, and it's measured in meters. And this here is going to be time measured in, is it hours or minutes? Hours. Yes? I haven't got there yet. I will do it. Okay, so we'll just draw it out. 0, 6. And then what's the other part? 1, 3. 2, 2. 3, 3. 4, 6. 5, 11. And finally 6 what? 6, 18, isn't it? Okay, and then you draw your curve. That last part needed a bit of a... There we go. Okay, everybody have enough of that? Now, I just got to group all this together. There we go, so we can move it. So what's the next question I'm going to be asked now? I'm going to be asked about not long enough, not low enough. There we go, time and hours. Now, what is the lowest depth? If you read the language of the question, guys, the lowest depth of the water. What's the lowest depth? How low does it go? What's the lowest Y value? 2 meters, isn't it? The lowest point is 2, 2. What does the point 2, 2 mean? After 2 hours, it's a depth of 2 meters. What does the point 618 mean in the context of this question? After 6 hours, the depth of your water is 18 meters. So therefore, in this question, it means after 2 hours, it's a depth of 2 meters. They ask for 2 pieces of information. They want the depth and how many hours it happens after. They want 2 answers for the one question. 2 hours, it's 2 meters deep. Gotta read the fine print, guys, okay? No, that's the highest depth. That's the deepest. Lowest depth is like if you're in a swimming pool, when you go to the kids end, that's the lowest depth. And when you're in the big end, that's the largest depth. After how many hours was the depth of the water 6 meters? 6 meters, we can see it here, can't we? It was 6 meters here and here. 0 and 4. So it was 4 hours. After 4 hours, so you can say 0 hours or 4 hours. How do I know they weren't talking about 0 hours? Because it says after how many hours. If you say 0 hours, that's no time has passed. You're right at the start. Another way of doing that would have been to use the graph. And what you could have done was this. Just draw it straight across and you see 4 hours there and 0 hours at the start. And that's it, guys. That's us done.